Thank you for joining Wars of the Roses. As we continue with Part 9, the ceremony of opening and closing the lodge, from the Freemason's Manual, or Illustrations of Masonry by Jeremiah Howe. Chapter 9, the ceremony of opening and closing the lodge. In all regular assemblies of men which are convened for wise and useful purposes, the commencement and conclusion of business is accompanied with some form. In every country of the world, the practice prevails and is deemed essential. From the most remote periods of antiquity it is traced, and the refined improvements of modern times have not abolished it. Ceremonies simply considered are little more than visionary delusions, but their effects are sometimes important. When they impress awe and reverence on the mind and attract the attention to solemn rites by external forms, they are interesting objects. These purposes are effected when judicious ceremonies are regularly conducted and properly arranged. On this ground, they have received the sanction of the wisest men in all ages, and consequently could not escape the notice of Masons. To begin well is the most likely means to end well. And it is justly remarked that when order and method are neglected at the beginning, they will be seldom found to take place at the end. The ceremony of opening and closing the lodge with solemnity and decorum is therefore universally adopted among Masons. And though the mode in some meetings may vary, and in every degree must vary, still an uniformity in the general practice prevails in the lodge, and the variation, if any, is solely occasioned by a want of method, which a little application will easily remove. To conduct this ceremony with propriety ought to be the peculiar study of all Masons, especially of those who have the honor to rule in our assemblies. To persons who are thus dignified, every eye is directed for regularity of conduct and behavior, and by their example, other brethren less informed may naturally expect to derive instruction. From a share in this ceremony, no Mason is exempted. It is a general concern in which all must assist. This is the first request of the Master and the prelude to business. No sooner has it been signified than every officer repairs to his station, and the brethren rank according to their degrees. The intent of the meeting becomes the object of attention, and the mind is insensibly drawn from the indiscriminate subjects of conversation, which are apt to intrude on our less serious moments. Our first care is directed to the external avenues of the lodge, and the officers, whose province it is to discharge that duty, execute the trust with fidelity. By certain mystic forms of no recent date, it is intimated that we may safely proceed. To detect impostors among ourselves, and adherence to order in the character of Masons ensues, and the lodge is opened or closed in solemn form. At opening the lodge, two purposes are effected. The Master is reminded of the dignity of his character, and the brethren of the homage and veneration due to him in their sundry stations. These, however, are not the only advantages resulting from a due observance of the ceremony. A reverential awe for the deity is inculcated, and the eye is fixed on that object from whose radiant beams alone light can be derived. Hence, in this ceremony we are taught to adore the great architect of the universe, and to supplicate that the labors then begun in order may be continued in peace and closed in harmony. At closing the lodge, a similar form takes place. Here the less important duties of the order are not passed unobserved. The necessary degree of subordination which takes place in the government of the lodge is peculiarly marked, while the proper tribute of gratitude is offered up to the beneficent author of life, whose blessing is invoked and extended to the whole fraternity. Thus, brethren, let us express our gratitude to the great architect of the universe for favors already received, and may he continue to support our order by cementing and adorning it with every moral and social virtue. So mote it be. Each brother then faithfully locks up in his own repository the treasure which he has acquired, and, pleased with his reward, retires to enjoy and disseminate among the private circle of his friends the fruits of his labor and industry in the lodge. These are faint outlines of a ceremony which universally prevails among Masons and distinguishes all their meetings. It was the custom some years back to read the ancient charges at every meeting, and although the practice does not hold at the present time, they are too valuable to be lost sight of, as they form an invaluable code for our moral government, and are moreover not unfrequently referred to. The ancient charges on the management of the craft in working, to be rehearsed at opening the lodge. Masons employ themselves diligently in their sundry vocations, live creditably, and conform with cheerfulness to the government of the country in which they reside. The most expert craftsman is chosen or appointed master of the work, and is duly honored in that character by those over whom he presides. The master, knowing himself qualified, undertakes the government of the lodge and truly dispenses his rewards according to merit. A craftsman who is appointed warden of the work under the master is true to master and fellows, carefully oversees the work, and the brethren obey him. The master, wardens, and brethren are just and faithful, and carefully finish the work they begin, whether it be in the first or second degree, but never put that work to the first which has been appropriated to the second degree. Neither envy nor censure is discovered among Masons. No brother is supplanted or put out of his work if he be capable to finish it. For he who is not perfectly skilled in the original design can never, with equal advantage to the master, finish the work which has been begun by another. All employed in Masonry meekly receive their rewards and use no disobliging name. Brother is the appellation they bestow on each other. They behave courteously within and without the lodge, and never desert the master till the work be finished. Laws for the government of the lodge. You are to salute one another in a courteous manner, agreeably to the forms established among Masons. You are freely to give such mutual instructions as shall be thought necessary or expedient, not being overseen or overheard without encroaching upon each other or derogating from that respect which is due to a gentleman were he not a Mason. For though as Masons we meet as brethren on a level, yet Masonry deprives no man of the honor due to his rank or character, but rather adds to his honor, especially if he have deserved well of the fraternity, who always render honor to whom it is due, and avoid ill manners. No private committees are to be allowed, or separate conversations encouraged. The master or wardens are not to be interrupted, or any brother who is speaking to the master. But due decorum is to be observed, and a proper respect paid to the master and presiding officers. These laws are to be strictly enforced, that harmony may be preserved and the business of the lodge be carried on with order and regularity. So mote it be. Charge on the behavior of Masons, to be rehearsed at closing the lodge. When the lodge is closed, you are to enjoy yourselves with innocent mirth, but carefully avoid excess. You are not to compel any brother to act contrary to his inclination, or give offense by word or deed, but enjoy a free and easy conversation. You are to avoid immoral or obscene discourse, and at all times support with propriety the dignity of your character. You are to be cautious in your words and carriage, that the most penetrating stranger may not discover what is not proper to be intimated. And if necessary, you are to waive the discourse and manage it prudently for the honor of the fraternity. At home and in your several neighborhoods, you are to behave as wise and moral men. You are never to communicate to your families, friends, or acquaintances the private transactions of our different assemblies, but on every occasion consult your own honor and the reputation of the fraternity at large. You are to study the preservation of health by avoiding irregularity and intemperance, that your families may not be neglected and injured, or yourselves disabled from attending to your necessary employments in life. If a stranger apply in the character of a Mason, you are cautiously to examine him, in such a method as prudence may direct, and agreeably to the forms established among Masons, that you may not be imposed upon by an ignorant, false pretender, whom you are to reject with contempt, and beware of giving him any secret hints of knowledge. But if you discover him to be a true and genuine brother, you are to respect him. If he be in want, you are without prejudice to relieve him, or direct him how he may be relieved. You are to employ him or recommend him to employment. However, you are never charged to do beyond your ability, only to prefer a poor Mason, who is a good man and true, before any other person in the same circumstances. Finally, these rules you are always to observe and enforce, and also the duties which have been communicated in the lecture. Cultivating brotherly love, the foundation and copestone, the cement and glory of this ancient fraternity, avoiding on every occasion wrangling and quarreling, slandering and backbiting, not permitting others to slander honest brethren, but defending their characters and doing them good offices, as far as may be consistent with your honor and safety, but no farther. Hence all may see the benign influence of Masonry, as all true Masons have done from the beginning of the world, and will do to the end of time. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe and comment, and if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Roses. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.